Saturday mornings, 8:30 Eastern. Dixie Football Nation is back and better than ever. We've got Tony Agolini, Matt Carr, Tones Ariola, Bobby and Angelo, along with Mac McGee this fall. Dixie Saturday Football Nation heads to the gridiron, talking ACC, SEC, the Big Ten, and all the big games throughout the college football land. That's Dixie Football Nation, 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central, Saturday mornings on the Armchair Quarterback Show's YouTube channel, going live. Or catch the instant replay. Get caught up with the big stories from around the world in sports in just a few minutes. It's Take Me Out to the Ball Game today, weekdays. Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube. Baseball, football, basketball, whatever's trending in the world of sports, it's on Take Me Out to the Ball Game today in just a few minutes. It drops weekdays, 9:30 a.m. Eastern, as Wake Up Y'all is ending. Take Me Out to the Ball Game today on the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel. Take me out to the ball game. Get ready for fantasy football. Your draft is just around the corner, and the Armchair Quarterbacks have you covered. It's the Handicappers, Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. Eastern to noon Eastern. Mock drafts, cheat sheets, sleepers and busts. It's the Armchair Quarterbacks Handicappers on YouTube Live. We'll give you everything you need to dominate your leagues. Watch the Handicappers Saturdays, 10 a.m. to noon Eastern Time. Because getting ready for your fantasy football draft is more important than whatever the hell you're thinking about right now.
We have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, and flat out deceived.
There's something kind of about a kid that's never played baseball.
But what the hell, boy?
Make sure to listen to the Armchair Quarterbacks. Good enough for us down here in the bayou. Go Tigers and the Armchair Quarterbacks.
It's morning.
Yes, and what a lovely morning.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks on CBS Sports Radio, #1 sports station.
Good morning, and this is your Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Flash. Major League Baseball has quite the small slate today. The games of interest begin at 8:05 Eastern. Brewers and Cubs do battle. Alec Mills is on the mound. At 8:10, it's the Yankees at the Kansas City Royals. Jameson Taillon and Carlos Hernandez go head-to-head. And on the plus at 6:10 Eastern, it's the Reds at the Indians. Luis Castillo for Cincinnati. 8 o'clock on ESPN, the national game of the night, Lucas Giolito at the Minnesota Twins. And at 10:10 Eastern, Zach Thompson is in San Diego with his Marlins to face the San Diego Padres and Joe Musgrove. The 2020 Summer Olympics, being played in 2021 in Tokyo, have come to an end, and the United States narrowly wins out the gold medal number by 1. They finished with 39 gold medals, China with 38. Japan finished with 27, and Great Britain with 22, and the Russian Olympic Committee finishes with 20. For the overall number, it's the United States with 113 medals, China with 88. All the whining has paid off in a big way for Miami Dolphins Defensive back Xavier Howard, his contract got reworked over the weekend. Howard's base salary of $12.785 million and a maximum of $3.5 million in incentives were added. A core issue he had been dealing with his contract before it was restructured is that it was set to pay $12 million in non-guaranteed money in 2021, which had him ranked 12th overall by NFL cornerbacks. The Dolphins also agreed to rescind $93,000 in fines accrued from skipping team's mandatory minicamp. The Dolphins also made the adjustments to Howard's contract for the 2022 season, fully guaranteeing $6.775 of his salary. The remainder of his $12.975 salary is guaranteed for injury and will be guaranteed on the first day of the league year. Legendary head coach Bobby Bowden of Florida State has passed away at the age of 91. His son Terry had this to say in a statement, quote, "My father passed away peacefully early this morning with all 6 of his children and my mother here by his side. I couldn't have asked for a better personal mentor than my father. He was a husband and father who relied on his strong Christian faith to provide the foundation for his life. I also was fortunate to be raised by a football coach who had a reputation for coaching the right way his entire career. He was admired by everyone who played for him or coached against him," unquote. Bobby Bowden was diagnosed with a terminal condition, pancreatic cancer, in July. He also fought through COVID in 2020. Florida State University President John Thrasher had this to say, quote, "Florida State University has lost a legend in the passing of the great Bobby Bowden. On behalf of everyone at Florida State, Gene and I extend our deepest condolences to Ann and the Bowden family." Coach Bowden built a football dynasty and raised the national profile of Florida State University, and he did it with class and a great sense of humor. While he leaves an incredible legacy as one of the best football coaches in college history, he also will be remembered for his great faith, his love of family, and his mentorship of countless young people. He will be profoundly missed. A public funeral service will be held for Bowden on Saturday on Florida State's campus. Public viewings will take place at FSU's Doak Campbell Stadium on Friday night and on the campus of Samford University, his alma mater, on Sunday. Bobby Bowden won 2 national championships at Florida State in 1993 and 1999, becoming the first team in the history of college football to go wire to wire, starting the season number 1 in the country and finishing the season number 1 in the country while never falling out of the number 1 slot all year long. His 1999 team is remembered as one of the greatest of all time. He also had 12 ACC titles, and his Florida State Seminoles finished in the top 5 in the AP poll for 14 consecutive years, a feat never done before and will never see again. His Florida State Seminoles from that time period of 1987 to 2001 were named only the 4th dynasty in the history of college football. Alabama's Crimson Tide has been added to the list in recent years. Bobby Bowden was the greatest head coach in college football of the 20th century. Bobby Bowden's 389 coaching wins are the most in the history of Division I college football until the NCAA gave back Joe Paterno's wins despite being in the middle of a sexual abuse scandal for kids. Bobby Bowden did it the right way, and he will be dearly missed by everyone, including Armchair Quarterbacks Radio. And that's your Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Flash. Stay tuned for the Armchair Quarterbacks Radio Show and YouTube Live. Please like, subscribe, and share our show today. The Armchair Quarterbacks, your first choice for sports talk, live from the First Coast.
That's what he says with his mouth. When it came to Tallahassee, the only good thing was the band. But now them fighting Seminoles are the best team in the land. Bobby Bowden, you're the coach for me. Bobby Bowden, please stay in Tallahassee. Them Gator fans used to joke and pound when Florida State would come to town, but they've stopped laughing thanks to Bobby B. Jimmy J and Wally love to put it up. They fill the air with footballs. They've really got the touch. Pass Jackson is their specialty. All Seminole fans know that when them boys are throwing right, the offense has to go. Bobby Bowden, you're the coach for me. Bobby Bowden, please stay in Tallahassee. Them Gator fans used to turn quarterbacks to jump, and Butler, Jones, and Ivory Joe would help answer prayers with Monk. Bobby Bowden, you're the coach for me. Bobby Bowden, please stay in Tallahassee. Them Gator fans used to choke and clown when Florida State would come to town, but they'd stop laughing thanks to Bobby B. And now all FSU fans come in from near and far. They're coming to the Campbell by train and plane and car. Tickets are hard to come by since the Seminoles are good. So just tell them Bobby sent you, and they'll treat you like they should. Sing it. Bobby Bowden, you're the coach for me. Bobby Bowden, please stay in Tallahassee. Gator fans used to joke and clown when Florida State would come to town, but they'd stop laughing thanks to Bobby B. Everybody now. Bobby, you're the coach for me.
10 years ago, a crack commando unit was sent to prison by a military court for a crime they didn't commit. These men promptly escaped from maximum security stop.
Quarterback, he's full of beer, he's full of snacks. The All-American man with a groove in his head. Yeah, the armchair quarterback, he's kind of...
Yeah, howdy, hi. Top of the morning to you. Almost had the perfect intro, and then I fat fingered and hit the wrong button. Justin, how the hell are you, sir, today?
I was doing great.
The Florida State gear, man.
Yeah, I figured I had an intro, but I didn't know you guys had theme songs that were hype videos and recruitment trailers for your coach. That's awesome. I've never heard that in my life.
Well,
Send it to me.
I actually put that video together so you can grab it off of YouTube. So it's on our channel. Now that song was, I think they were called something in the Gator Getters. There was a song that a local band threw together in the late 70s when teams are trying to steal away Bowden. This is right after he took over a Florida State team that had won 4 games in the previous 3 years. He went 5-6 the first season, which everyone was like ready to throw a parade, and then he went 10-2 the next year, winning a bowl game. So by the late 70s, they were ready to steal him. And I was 5-6 years old, somewhere in that area. When that song came out, my dad owned a bar, and he had 45s that were given to him to play in the bar. And he brought a couple of them home to us kids. And we wore the needle through the damn thing as kids, just listening to that. So that's where that song came from. And then the video I just kind of put together because when I heard the news yesterday, I had to have something to kind of keep my mind off of obvious, I knew I was going to take it hard, but I honestly thought that I'd kind of already mourned. Honestly, last year when he got COVID, dude, it broke me up. I thought he was done then. I was really hoping he was going to get out there to the stadium one last time this year. But when they announced the pancreatic cancer in early July, I was like, he's not getting back out there. Like, there's just no way. I was hoping that he would, go a little further, but 91 years of a hell of a damn career.
Yeah, and to go out on your terms peacefully with your children and wife by your side, that's Bobby went out on his terms, it sounds like.
Yeah, and I mean, how many get to do that?
Shit, right? None of us. I have regrets every day. So,
yeah.
I'm just glad he got to go that way.
I assume I'm going to be Elvis and just I'll be on the crapper one day and fall over.
I hope that's how it happens. For me, I don't want to think about it.
Well, I hope it doesn't happen that way for me because I don't want my wife to see, to have to see that as her last thing of her husband. But
they got the jaws of life and cranes now. We'll be okay. They'll get us out. Don't worry about it.
I'd say there's a very good chance that I die with a remote control in my hand. So, but yeah, man, I'll tell you what, that was, I woke up yesterday morning kind of early, and I didn't even hit Twitter or anything like that, so I hadn't seen the news yet. And my wife sends me a text, and she said, "Are you okay?" And I came out of the shower and everything. I said, "Do what?" She said, "Did you see the news?" And instantly, man, as soon as she said, "Did you see the news?" I was like, "Is it Bobby?" She goes, "Yeah." I was like, that kind of thing. But anyways, it freaks your wife. It freaks you out first when your wife says you're okay. I'm like, who do I physically like what friend or family member is it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, but anyways, I don't.
Well, I get it. I mean, this was more than just a coach. This was a generational talent and a role model. And let's face it, he was a hero for a lot of youngsters. A lot of adults walking this earth spent their youth looking up to Bobby Bowden and the programs he built. And no matter which school you pull for in the state of Florida, I think you have to respect the coaching and the way that he coached the game. My favorite memory, and then I'm just going to shut up and listen because you're our resident Seminole. I can't do it any justice like you can, but I go back to his West Virginia roots, just the stories of what he did early on when the Marshall tragedy happened, and he helped install the Veer offense to a competitor, opened up his film room and his game tape and said, "Hey, what's mine is yours." And that just goes to show you the kind of dude that he was. And it's been with him his whole life. He never strayed from it. And I think Bobby Bowden, that's what always goes down to me is his character. And I don't think there is any question in that. Every player's ever played for him seems to have the utmost respect. And when you have the respect of your peers and your players, there's nothing I can say that's the biggest compliment of all. There's nothing to be said at that point.
Not that it realistically matters in the grand scheme of things, but it still pisses Florida State fans off to no end that they vacated his 12 wins during the scandal of the early 2000s. It was kind of reminiscent to what happened up in Tennessee with tutors and whatnot, cheating on tests and whatnot. But he knew nothing of it. Okay. So, okay, you're going to vacate those 12 wins, but they vacated Joe Paterno's wins and then gave them back. And that pisses everyone off to no end because what Joe Paterno did was disgusting. And we don't have to get into that today. What Bowden did, he just didn't know. And I think anyone who's ever followed Bowden knows that if there's one thing he wouldn't do is intentionally break the rules. Anything that's happened, even going back to the Free Shoe University thing back in the early 90s, he knew nothing of it, which is why he never got any sanctions from it. But that to me seems small for the NCAA to do what they did. And him and Paterno were always, neck and neck for years. And the Paterno ended up coaching a few more years. But what pisses you off is if you're like, you can't take away his wins for something he didn't know about, and you're going to reinstate hundreds of wins for Paterno when the whole Sandusky thing, right? So that'll always stick in my craw, and I'll always look as Bobby Bowden as the winningest football coach in Division I history. And I mean, don't get and argue with me. I'll be like, you're wrong. The other thing is the reason why I believe he's the greatest college football coach of the 20th century. I'm not going to take anything away from Nick Saban because what he's done is phenomenal. That's a different argument for a different day. But along the same lines, I would put what he did toe to toe with Saban is that Bowden built that at Florida State. He didn't inherit anything. Even the great Bear Bryant, when he came to Alabama, they were already a football power. The only one that I could even remotely say built something was like Newt Rockne, but unfortunately his career didn't last very long because of the plane crash. So that's why I always say that about it. It's not just because I'm a Florida State fan, it's because of what he did, the innovator he was of offense. His nickname was the Riverboat Gambler because he didn't give a damn. He wanted to win a game and he would do anything he would. And I was listening to some videos, and then we'll get into Georgia football. But I was listening to some YouTube clips yesterday that other people had recorded of him doing speeches, not just for football, but he did one at Liberty that had nothing to do with football. Realistically, it was about his Christian faith. And one of the funniest ones, two funny things, and then we'll move on. First of all, they were talking about the punt Ruski, and he was referring to all of his trick plays. And I even caught a clip of what he was referring to. He was saying that his coaches would always say, you know, I don't know if this is the time to do it. I don't know if it's time to do it. And he said, you know, I would ignore it. And then I would remind them, you know, not in front of other people. He goes, I'm not asking you if I'm going to run a trick play. I'm telling you, get the formation ready. We're about to run this play. And he was talking about the punt Ruski. But there was another clip of Florida State pulling a fake punt. I wish I could remember the opponent. But the special teams coach, I don't think this is time to do it. I don't think he has time to do it. And he just, man, he act like he didn't even see him. He's like, get him out there, get him out there. They run the trick play. It was a fake punt, and it went for about 40 yards down the sidelines, right? But then the other one, this was his wife saying to him for years, Bobby, you love football more than me. He said she would always say that to me. You love football more than me. And he said, I finally looked at her one time and said, college or pro? And I told my wife, I said, I want that on my tombstone.
That's a pretty good one there, but I can't let you walk past your dig there at Alabama. Did I hear? I mean, I heard out of all that Dabo built a program, Nick Saban didn't. Is that what you're saying?
Even Clemson had
that the argument now, or you still think that they?
No, I know. I mean, even Clemson had a program before Dabo came along.
Was it Terry before him?
I mean, they won the 1981 national championship, and Clemson was always a good football program. They fell off kind of like Alabama fell off for about a decade, and everyone kind of forgot. But Clemson used to be a really good football program. So I can't even but I'll tell you what, I would put Dabo on the same level of Nick as far as re-energizing a program. But Nick's obviously won more championships, so you have to put him above. But that's a conversation for this. I'm talking about the 20th century. There was no.
Gotcha. I just couldn't miss my.
There was there. If Howard Schnellenberger would have stayed at Miami, he could have had that opportunity, right?
Right.
You could have made the case for Steve Spurrier if he would have stayed longer. But 34 years, 389 wins. And the biggest thing to me, not just the two national championships and the 12 ACC titles, dude, he went 21-10 in bowl games. And I remember at one point we had like a ridiculous streak. I wish I could remember what it was. I don't have it in front of me. We went on a ridiculous streak where we were winning bowl game, even meaningless quote unquote bowl games. But back then, bowl games were big. You didn't have guys opting out. I mean, and
a lot of people forget they hang the 99 championship, but he also did something else during that period. He went to back-to-back BCS championships. I mean, and he was a quarterback away from being a back-to-back national champion. But, we still don't know what happens in that game. If, I'm not going to concede that we still don't win that one, but I will say that it is a completely different ball game. Yeah.
Because remember 2000, they went again with Winky. So
all about that. So yeah, there was a 3-year window there.
And I still contend if Mark Richt hadn't gotten hired at Georgia and was spending half his week at Georgia during that time period, getting ready for the Orange Bowl, I think that Florida State team was better than Oklahoma. But you could tell that Florida State was not prepared to play Oklahoma. And I'm not going to take anything away from Oklahoma. They won the game, but
it wasn't easy to do during the BCS era.
No, it wasn't. And the other thing, the 14 consecutive years of top 5 finishes, that'll never be touched. Because even as good as Alabama's been recently, and we all know how good they've been, they had a break in it a couple of years ago. So you'd have to restart the whole thing again, right? It'll never be touched because you're talking about having to have a longevity and keep up a program, and then also just not have stupid things happen to you.
I don't know that in today's world you can afford to have a coach for 34 years. I mean, I don't know that can happen in today's market and the way that college football is going.
They'd have to be really motivated because most of them are going to make too much money and say, well, why am I doing this? Right. They'll dip out and they'll go broadcast or whatever.
Yeah, there's too much money. I don't know that you're going to have another individual that comes in and is committed to a program for life the way that Well, I mean, that was just the way of the coaches then. I mean, he built roots in Tallahassee. Still has them in Morganton, but he built them in Tallahassee, and that's home. You don't see that a lot, and I don't know how many 3-decade tenured coaches you'll ever see again.
Yeah, there's always a really small Miami Hurricane fan out there, Brian. FSU had no business playing Oklahoma in 2000, blah, blah, blah. You know, that's realistic. It's been about 20 years since Miami's even been relevant in a national championship conversation. So I'll let them have that one. We're almost on the anniversary of that. We're a year away from the anniversary of Miami being relevant in college football. But believe it or not, kids, Florida State Miami used to be a really good rivalry. I think Florida State will be back. I seriously doubt that Miami ever will. But the Florida State Florida, the Florida State Miami rivalries, those were incredible. Those were absolutely incredible back in the day. And as far as Bowden goes, man, he's just, he's one of a kind. And I'm glad that we had a guy of class representing our university for so long, when there's been other coaches, and I won't call them out today because it's not about that, but they're cringeworthy. You're like, God bless, I'm glad that dude is not. He was telling a story. This is another funny story, and then we'll do our Georgia prediction. He was telling a story. He said, so I was going to midfield, and you know how all the head coaches always shake hands at midfield, and he pauses. He goes, except of course for Spurrier. And then he went on with the story. And I was like, that's some funny stuff right there. We won't have a lot of time to dive into this, but I kind of knew that was going to happen. By the way, you didn't get a chance to make it for the Texas A&M on a Friday. Really quick, what's your take on Texas A&M? Are they a top 10, top 5 team, or do you think they fall backwards?
I think they could compete with it. My big question is, with Kellen Mond being gone, what is Jimbo Fisher? This supposed quarterback whisperer. Took him 4 years to get Mond to actually put up the numbers that we expected out of his offense. He got there, but now we're restarting again. So I think they have a potential for a 10-2, but I've got them about a 9-3 team. I think they're the second tier, the second best team in the West probably this year.
Yeah, that's where I pretty much have them as the second best team in the West, but I don't know how many. I don't know how many games they'll win, because I'm concerned with them not being able to put up offense. And no matter how good your defense is in college football, you got to be able to score points. You just do, And so that's just that's going to concern me if I'm an A&M fan. Now, Georgia, they start the season off. I mean, you couldn't find a worse way to start the season off. They start the season off in Charlotte, North Carolina against Clemson. I think Georgia might be a slight favorite, but I've got a feeling Clemson's going to win that damn game. And by no means am I pulling for Clemson, but I think they're going to win that game. It's in Charlotte, so you got to figure, even with the COVID restrictions being lifted, realistically, I think you're going to see a lot of Clemson fans there. I want to say Georgia's got a very good chance of winning the East and playing for the SEC championship, and I believe that they do. But what if they lose that Clemson game, and then let's say they run the table, but then lose to Alabama in the SEC title game? Does that get you into the top 4?
Did Clemson win the ACC? Because if so, no, you already lost them.
Okay, Clemson wins the ACC.
Then I think you've already lost them.
But I wasn't thinking of them. I was thinking, like, let's say the Big Ten gets their participant like they normally do. Let's say the Big 12 just doesn't have an undefeated team. And I'm not even going to argue with the Pac-12, because until the Pac-12 reappears, I'm not going to worry about them. But could Georgia slip in there, losing to Clemson, a close game, losing to Alabama, a fairly close game? Do they still go back in there? And we
would have 2 losses to the field of 6 already. I don't know how you could put them in against somebody that hasn't played them, because there would be a scenario in the SEC where you could put a close one. It might be a 1-loss Florida team, or that has dropped a game to said Georgia, that might get their opportunity, because again, you've already lost to the two conference winners. What's to prove at this point? Oh, great. You can beat the Big Ten. I mean, that's really all that's left to accomplish is a Big Ten or Big 12 matchup and hope that Georgia would miss it. I think they would be hard pressed to put them in there. I'm like you. I think coming out of the gate against Clemson is going to be the hiccup, if there is one on the schedule, with Pickens being out with his knee injury and not knowing at what point he's going to be back. I think that's going to hurt them week one. I think later down the road, they'll have some of their new offensive pieces in there and have weapons. I mean, let's face it, that offensive line is stacked. It's Georgia. We know that all three running backs can pound the ball. It's a three-headed monster, and the defense is still elite. Kirby Smart has not slid back on that. So number one question is going to be Daniels outside with Pickens being out. Who does he go to and fill that void, and do they have that in place before the Clemson game? I think they can hang with Clemson, but I think they lose a close one.
Yeah, I think that Clemson game is absolutely enormous. For Clemson, it may not really matter because they're probably going to run the table in the ACC and win the championship. And I think if they do that, even if they lose to Georgia, I think they're probably in. As long as they don't lose like 60-0 or something like that, right? As long as they don't look like the way Miami did against Clemson, right, Brian? Had to dig back. I just think it's going to be, that game is so huge, and I bet both fan bases like, are you serious right now? It's kind of fitting because Bowden did this all the time. He would play teams at the beginning of the year, like the Miamis and a bunch of others that he scheduled. And I'm like, can we not get even this year we're playing Notre Dame. Like, can we not play a cupcake, please? Just the first game of the season, you and I went and saw Florida State play Alabama. I mean, it's like, we don't even get a warm-up game. It's so stupid. It really is.
I don't hate it though.
I don't hate it.
You get the whole off season to prepare, and the other team doesn't get to see game tape on you. So if you're the underdog, which I don't know that Georgia looks at themselves as the underdog in that situation, but I think it's to your advantage. That's why you do it. I can see the advantage to it. I mean, it's still a long shot, but I would rather have that juggernaut in week one than week two, where they've got two games of, well, I mean, it's the Tennessee-Florida scenario all over again. I mean, you watch screen passes for 3 weeks, you know how to shut it down week 4. Anyway, moving
True.
on.
Well, I know we got to kick bricks here. What's your walk-off for the day?
Man, it's just rest in peace, Bobby, and thoughts and prayers for Seminole Nation. Just I'm with you guys today. This one hurt me as well. One of my fondest memories comes with Florida State, my high school alma mater. We wore the garnet and gold, fear the spear. So it's always been close and loyal to me. But I'm mourning with y'all today. So that's all I got.
Thank you, sir. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to try to regroup, and we're going to go from the loved Bobby Bowden to the hated New England Patriots. We'll be back in a flash here on the Armchair Quarterbacks. Keep it locked in here to CBS Sports Radio.
You're riding Morning Shotgun with the Armchair Quarterbacks. We're here weekdays on WAOC 96.5 FM, 1420 AM, and streaming on the Armchair Quarterbacks app. Download it today. Your first choice for sports talk here on the First Coast.
You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks on CBS Sports Radio, #1 sports station.
For the first time in 39 years, the Boston Bruins have won the Stanley Cup. Out of the zone. The to win the Stanley Cup. Raymond Moore with 28.8 seconds left. The league will tie the game. McCarty draws. McCarty in. McCarty. Nibbles and go.
Armchair Quarterbacks Radio, covering the NHL like no other.
What's going on here, guys?
All right, coach. So basically, it was a holding call.
But these dudes started me in their fantasy league, which is cool because this dude started our quarterback, but he started our kicker and I started their defense. So it's kind of a pickle.
Compromising the integrity of this game with your fantasy football leagues? Listen to me. If there was holding, you make that holding call. I don't care if it was on our team or not. I care about this game too much to let you.
Coach, you started their defense too, didn't you?
Yeah, you definitely started their defense.
Damn right I did.
Armchair. If only the world was less like this.
I could use a smoke.
Hey, put that out.
And more like this.
I could use a smoke.
You murderer! I might have children one day.
Smoking kills, unless you kill first. If you're around a smoker, you will die. Smokers may look relaxed and like they're having fun. Don't believe it. Vote yes on Proposition 421. Let's outlaw smoking everywhere, even in people's homes, and allow honest citizens to legally kill anyone who smokes. Let's live in a world without smokers. Prohibition works. Let's prove it. Vote yes on Proposition 421.
Armchair.
Let's face it, where you're betting is just as important as who you're betting on. That's why I go to mybookie.ag. It's fast, it's easy, and they pay you when you win. Look, I wouldn't be telling you to bet mybookie.ag if they weren't the best. Do the smart thing. If you're going to bet this football season, bet with mybookie.ag. Promo code SKIN, that's SKIN. When you use that promo code, MyBookie will match 100% of your deposit up to $1,000. That's mybookie.ag, promo code SKIN.
Why are you the way that you are? Honestly, every time I try to do something fun or exciting, you make it not that way. I hate so much about the things that you choose to be.
Good morning. Welcome back here to the Armchair Quarterbacks. Doug, how the hell are you, sir, my friend?
Doing good, doing good.
Are you ready to get your ass kicked in fantasy football again this year?
I don't remember getting my ass kicked last year.
You don't? Okay.
I don't remember that. I remember a couple of upsets at the end, but I don't remember an ass kicking per se.
Trophy update, by the way, the big armchair trophy should be here, I think Tuesday or Wednesday. I think the alert that I saw. I don't believe you've been on the show since I brought this up, Doug. Went back and looked at all the leagues where was always considered the radio league. So like last year, Sean won it. Okay. And I've got this really big trophy that's going to be behind me, and it's going to sit back there during fantasy football season. And long story short, everybody's name who's won it is going to go on it, just like the Stanley Cup type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to send someone starting with this year. I'm not going to back order them. Starting with this year, whoever wins the league this year, it will be the league that we draft on Wednesday morning, September 1st. Okay. During the show. And that name will be added each year. So we've got, everyone, pretty much everyone that is involved with Armchair Quarterbacks. And then also we got some viewers in there. So if you're not in that league, it's Wednesday morning, September 1st, and you want to play, hit me up. Let me know in the next few days, because after about a week from now, I'm going to have to lock it up and do the computer simulated auto draft thing or whatever. But not auto draft, auto pick, where they basically, so we know where the hell we're picking at. I don't know what the hell they call that. What do they call that? You have any idea what they call that? I can't think of it. They always say you're about to blah, blah, blah. Anyways, randomize the pick order is essentially what it is. But anyways, that'll be behind me. And that's I'm pretty sure you're on there from 2 or 3 years ago, because I think I had to look up how to spell Salfisberg.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure you're on there. I could be wrong, but I'm almost positive because I know Trosh was on 1 year. I'm almost positive you were on 1 year, and then Sean was on 1 year.
Yeah.
And then, the King has got several years. But then again, I've also been playing every year, and y'all haven't been playing every year. So there you go. Going into fantasy baseball, we're going to kind of put a lid on this because it's kind of coming to the end and no one really gives a crap about it anymore. That's why I kind of said I wouldn't worry about doing DFS today. DFS is so piss poor today. I didn't even think there was a point of bringing it up. There's like 4 or 5 games today. It's like good. If you're into that, if you're that desperate to play DFS, have at it. But I wasn't going to do a deep dive on, and these games just suck too that are on today. But putting a lid on actual fantasy baseball, how are you feeling going down the stretch? And how many teams of the 3 leagues we're in together are you going to make the playoffs in?
1. I'm just going to make the playoffs in 1.
Which one is that?
Dynasty League.
Oh, really? Okay, the Dynasty League. Let me go take.
Yeah, I should make it into the Dynasty League.
Oh yeah, you're third, and how many? I'm so confused because I meant to do them all the same week, same number of weeks, and instead okay, so this one is 21 weeks long, and then the playoffs. I think 2 of them are 21 weeks long, and then I got one that's randomly 20 weeks. I don't know why, or it's the other way around. Anyways, we are, let me see here. What week are we in now? 17, 18? 18. We're in week 18. So we get 18, 19, 20, 20. So we have 4 weeks left in this thing. I lost in a few weeks this year, a few leagues this past week, mainly because I had so many dudes that either went on the IL or COVID, but I've got such a commanding lead in most of these leagues. As far as I know, I'm going to make the playoffs. I wasn't going to wreck my roster to worry about 1 win, I still have a 4-game lead on Milky, who is, I won't say that whole name, Will's team, with 4 to go.
Yeah.
So he has to win this week as I'm playing him. He would have to win out. I would have to lose out is essentially what would have to happen. Because I would have to lose out. He would have to win out. That's pretty much how that goes. Because if we end up in any kind of a tie, I've scored 1,000 more points. Now you've got a 1-game lead over Steven and David, and a 2-game lead over Brad. The other 2, I'm just going to say, are done. There's no way in hell they're coming from behind. You'd have to may have a miracle comeback to be 5-12 to make up a 4-game lead, and you've got the worst team, and to make up that lead is just impossible. You're all of a sudden going to go on a 4-game winning streak. Oh, okay. So you play one of the guys who's kind of chasing you. If you were to lose that, it would get interesting. And then the other guys, they are not playing each other. Okay. So the other guys are playing cupcakes. They're probably going to win this week. They're probably going to be 9-9.
Yep.
This is a big week for you because if you lose, you'll be 9-9, and then it's an absolute. And they've got more points than you.
Yeah, I know. I know. That's why I gotta tighten up. You
gotta tighten up, baby. Because when you said I'm gonna make the playoffs, and that I was thinking it's a done deal. I looked like that ain't a done deal at all, man. Yeah,
it's not a done deal, but I don't know.
Right now, it's very rare that the team you're playing, Brad. It's very rare that he just quits. So he's probably gonna give you all he's got until he figures he's mathematically eliminated. That's interesting. I'll try to help you out, and I'll try to win myself. I'm not throwing any of these games. I just am not going to wreck my. I've got so many dudes on the IL. It's just disgusting. And it makes where I've got like 4 pitchers going every week. It's ridiculous. COVID, something's always going down.
Welcome
But
to the club and the other on my other teams. They're all.
I've had them all. Dude, this is the keeper league. These are my guys sitting on the aisle. I've had to drop some just because I was like, I don't have room. I'm done with it. Severino and Soroka and Enoa, right?
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't even know if it's worth keeping Severino because when he comes back, they're saying he may not even be a starter. He might be like an opener.
Yeah.
And then I still have Acuna and Tatis, and then Arozarena on the aisle because of his stupid COVID. But the other two, Acuna's not coming back, obviously. Trout is on the aisle, and Mondesi has been on the IL for the entire year, essentially. I don't have them in the IL spots, but they're on the IL and they're taking up room.
Yeah.
Mondesi's about to see his last day, man, because this guy's played 10 games all year. He has been working on his oblique, I'm telling you, for 3.5 months.
Yeah.
He's played 10 games, and I guess he's now in a sit down in the minors. Bully for you, jerk. It's like, dude, if you're just gonna be hurt, just be hurt. Just tear your ACL so I can just drop you, not worry about you. But I keep thinking, well, if I hold on to him and all right, if things come around, this is pathetic. All right, fantasy football. Don't give us a crap about fantasy baseball anymore. We'll, only us who are going to make the playoffs care about it. Everyone else is going on. Dude, my team sucks. Can we move on? All right. The tight ends is what we're going to focus on today. Yep. And we're also going to talk to New England Patriots. And it's the reason why I picked the tight ends because we're talking the New England Patriots. So it kind of ties in because you've got two tight ends on the New England Patriots that are ranked in everybody's top 15, even higher in some. Who in your heart of hearts is going to be the tight end to have? Is it going to be Jonnu Smith, the better athlete, or Hunter Henry, the guy who seems to be the security blanket? What say you?
Short term, I would say Jonnu Smith.
Screwed short term. I'm talking about 2021. You
all the
hit,
way through. You
hit January. Who would you have rather have had?
I'd rather have Hunter.
I don't want to know after 2 weeks because you're drafting your team. You want to know the whole season.
All right. Well, then overall, you take Hunter. I think he's going to be the more consistent pass catcher. I think he's going to, in the end zone, I think he's the one who's going to be catching the touchdowns.
All right. So that's your guy that you're rolling with is I mean, I'm so torn on this that I don't want either one. Because Jonnu Smith, when they utilized him in Tennessee, is a force to be reckoned with. It kind of reminds me of back when they had Gronk and Aaron Hernandez.
Right.
And I know we don't like bringing that guy's name up because he's a, serial killer or whatever. But in that time period, when he was playing, nobody knew how bad of a person he was. Aaron Hernandez looked like he was going to be an absolute superstar.
Yep.
He was the better athlete, but Gronk always seemed to get the ball in the end zone. And it seems like this is going to be now. I'd say Jonnu is not quite the athlete that AH was, but at the same token, he's also more of a bruiser. I'm really interested to see what Belichick has dialed up for this offense. Because he did not sign the two of them for depth. That didn't happen because he put a good piece of change on both of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm assuming they're going to go out there and run two tight end sets. Excuse me.
Yeah.
I'm going to assume they're not going to have a fullback, and it's going to be almost downs. I'm going to assume it's going to be two tight ends, two receivers, and one halfback. There might be some formations where they're going with the fullback and they drop a tight end or possibly even drop a receiver. But all in all, I think what the game plan will be is those two on the field at the same time. Jonnu wasn't a very good blocker. He was okay, but he wasn't great. Hunter Henry was decent blocker. I'd say he's probably a better blocker than Jonnu. That's the only thing that concerns me. You draft Hunter, and then you find out that he's better at pass blocking, and he's back there. You don't get points for that. That's my biggest concern. What say you?
That is his biggest concern. But Jonnu Smith has just got that bust factor. And it also depends, one thing too, who's going to be the starting quarterback for the Patriots? Is it going to be Newton, or is it going to be at some point Mac Jones? And I think that changes the dynamics on which one is going to be more successful as a tight end for them. Is Mac Jones going to in play calling? Is he going to levitate towards Hunter? I think if Cam Newton is the quarterback most of the season, Jonnu Smith is going to get the majority of the receptions. Mac Jones, I couldn't tell you one way or the other. Then that's another concern. That's why I wouldn't draft either one of them. But
yeah, I'm extremely concerned when it comes to those two, because all right,
yeah,
we'll put that aside. We'll get back to the Patriots here in a minute. But it's kind of like if you have two tight ends, you don't have one in fantasy football. If you're going to draft one, I feel like you have to draft the other. I don't want to waste two roster spots on a tight end in most leagues.
No,
I would rather stream them if one of them gets hurt, and then you just deal with it, right?
Yeah.
Unless you're in a really weird situation where you're in the 7th round, you go, why the hell has nobody drafted George Kittle? What is going on here? Screw it. I'll take both of them. I'll take him and Kelsey, and one will be my flex. But in most situations, I don't want anything to do with any team that has two tight ends that are good pass catchers, because you're gonna get caught holding the bag. Now, moving on from that, and you look at the top of the top, I'm assuming that your top two are Kelsey and Kittle in that order.
I like Waller better than Kittle, believe it or not. Maybe that may be the Raiders fan in me, but Waller and Kelsey are my top two. Followed by Kittle.
Why is that?
I just think Waller, it's just because the Raiders don't have a definite number one receiver, and I think that Derek Carr is gonna really feed the ball a lot to Waller for that fact alone. So I think Waller's going to see a lot more passes thrown to him than Kittle. So I think he's going to come up with more yardage, more touch than Kittle will, just for that fact alone. Yeah, because the Raiders don't have a Brandon Ayuk. They don't have a Deebo Samuel. They don't have, I think that what's his name's got a lot more targets. Therefore, Kittle is going to get, a certain percentage less than Waller will.
All right. I still have to put Kittle over Waller, but I get what you're saying. But for argument's sake, those are the top three. Who do you have 4, 5, and 6 on your list?
Let's see, 4. Yeah, we never talk about him that much, but he's been a pretty decent stalwart tight ends. Mark Andrews at number 4, and then Hawkinson at number 5, and then Pitts at number 6.
Okay.
Hawkinson, I just think he's going to get a lot more. He's going to get a lot more receiving yards this year. I think a lot more action coming this way this year, and he showed flashes of brilliance last year. So I'm looking for him to have an upside season this year.
So I'm trying to get to a cheat sheet here. I swear I just tried to Google like 6 of them, and they're all just trying to sell me something. And so I go to my book that I always get because I like having a hard copy. And these dumbasses, what would you think what tight end outlook would be? You think it'd be a ranking system? No, it's the tight ends in alphabetical order. What the hell do I need that for? I mean, seriously, you could just sell me a cheat sheet. You'd save you money and me money. We'd all be done with it. But anyways, I like having a list in front of me when I'm talking about this, and I didn't have as much time to prepare as I normally do this morning because of the whole Bobby Bowden thing. We're putting stuff together, but when I'm looking at this, TJ Hawkinson is a big question mark for me. I can't put him over Mark Andrews. Dallas Goddard is interesting. A lot of people have him in the top 6. I think I would rather take a flyer on Pitts than get stuck with Goddard if he ends up because my biggest question is what the hell's going to happen at the quarterback position at Philly? I'm assuming it's Hurts, but when Hurts filled in last year, man, he was doing more things with his legs than his arm.
Yep.
Now, Noah Fant intrigues the hell out of me because he's a great talent. But once again, the quarterback situation is scary. Irv Smith is being put up there pretty high. Robert Tonyan, Logan Thomas. What are your thoughts on any of those guys?
Thomas and Tonyan, they're my 7 and 8. In my top 10, they're number 7 and 8 respectively. I think Logan Thomas has potential to have a really good season. With Fitzgerald being the quarterback there now, I would not be surprised if he could potentially have a top 5 year, potentially. And Tonyan, I think Tunyan's going to get exactly what he got last year, maybe a little bit more. We know that probably Aaron Rodgers is going to play, is going to be the quarterback. So, and he in the end zone, I think he was 20. He accounted for 10% of the touchdowns caught within the 5, in goal line stances where he threw. So,
a couple of guys that are way down on the radar that I'm intrigued by. Cole Kmet. He's a pretty good athlete. If Justin Fields becomes the starting quarterback, which I think Justin Fields may be the starting quarterback in week 1, but they may not want to throw him into the fire in week 1. I don't know why the hell you wouldn't, because Andy Dalton, we all know he sucks. Andy Dalton and the Chicago Bears are not going into Los Angeles and upsetting the Rams in week 1.
No.
You gave yourself a fighting chance if you have Justin Fields in there. Let him make his mistakes. You drafted him high enough. You gave him enough draft capital. It was just really dumb that you signed Andy Dalton to the deal you did in the offseason, but whatever. You're stuck with him and Foles combined. What was the number I saw the other day? They're making over 30 million total.
Yeah.
Oof. Man, you got to get rid of. You got to trade Foles on the hoo-ha. If you can get the Colts to accept any of that loss, man, I would trade Foles yesterday.
Yep.
But some of the other tight ends to me are interesting. So I see Tyler Higbee down towards the bottom, but I believe this book that I'm looking at is an old book. I believe this thing was printed before the big trades. I think that's got a lot to do with it, because in most of the drafts that I've been in, Tyler Higbee's been ranked fairly high as a tight end. Are you big on Tyler Higbee this year?
No,
he now has Stafford. He doesn't golf anymore.
Yeah. I don't know. He's just fooled me. I was high on Tyler Higbee for 2 years now, and really didn't get that much out of him except for the end of the one season. So I'm not that high on him. That's a wait and see. Maybe pull him off the waiver wire if he shows any signs of life. I've got other fish I would rather take a chance with before him.
I just, where he's going, I have a hard time believing it.
Yeah.
He's going too high. I've seen him going in the top like 7 or 8 in a lot of these drafts I've been doing. And here's the thing. Okay, Stafford's there now. This is going to be great. Man, Hawkinson wasn't that great to have. Okay. And you've got too many weapons in Los Angeles. Even without having Akers, man, you still got Kupp and Woods.
Mm-hmm.
Hawkinson's got a better chance of performing at a high level because he doesn't have a lot out there on his offense.
And there's nobody else to throw to in Detroit.
All their talented wide receivers are essentially gone in
Detroit.
So All right. Well, moving on from that, let's go ahead and dive into the New England Patriots, because they are obviously a team that is they're going to be in the conversation this year, and we all know it, for the AFC East, because regardless what you may or may not think of the Patriots, they are a team that always wins, right? So looking at their schedule right now, as I'm trying to pull it up, I swear to God, everything I pull up is from 2020. All right, I'll have to do the terrible. Google has the worst schedules. I swear they're just the way the layout is just terrible. All right, so they're going to start off at home against the Dolphins. So you like that if you're a Patriots fan because you get to go. You're at home the first game. I don't know if they're going to win that game. They're going to be at the Jets, at home against the Saints, at home against the Bucks. Where are they at the end of those 4 games?
Then 4 games, they'll be 2-2.
All right.
I think they'll beat Miami in the first game. They'll definitely beat the Jets. But then I see New Orleans and Tampa Bay bringing them back down to earth. So they'll be 2-2 after 4 weeks.
They go Patriots will be at the Texans, at home against the Cowboys, at home against the Jets, and at home against the Chargers. Where are they at after that?
All right. And after that, let me see. Lose to the Texans, lose to the Cowboys, beat the Jets, and they lose to the Chargers. So after that, they are 4-3 after week 7.
All right, I'm gonna rattle off the rest.
Okay.
And then you just give me because your math isn't so good. They're gonna be at the Panthers, at home against the Browns, at the Falcons. They'll be at home against the Titans, which I believe that's Thanksgiving weekend. They will be at the Bills. They're gonna be at the Colts, and then they will be at the Patriots. No, excuse me, at home against the Bills. And then at least they get to finish off at home against the Jaguars, but then they're back in Miami, what could be for the AFC championship or AFC East championship. But then again, you do have the Bills to contend with. Where are the New England Patriots at the end of 2021?
I say they're 9-8 by the end of it all.
How long does Mr. Cam Newton start?
He may hang in there till about, I would say maybe week 10, week 11, but I wouldn't be surprised by week 12 against the against your team that Mac Jones starts. So I would say no later probably than week 12.
I think Mac Jones starts right after Brady and company ramrods the Patriots on national television, which is week 4. I think he starts directly after that. I don't think they're going to start the season off with him, but I think they're going to look exposed in that game. They'll be lucky to be 2-2 as you laid out. I do believe that they're going to lose to the Dolphins. I think they'll beat the Jets, but then that Saints game that's a crapshoot. Is Michael Thomas playing for them? All that kind of stuff. It is in New Orleans. If they're 1-3 at the end of that, which they very well could be, I think Mac Jones starts. I don't think Belichick's willing to just waste another season. And then at that point, it's going to be how fast Mac Jones can get them to rebound. Honestly, if it were me, I would start Mac Jones week 1. That's what I would do. You drafted the guy in the first round. We saw, I don't care what you say, we saw what the hell Cam Newton has become. You don't get better with age. Quarterbacks are not fine wine.
Yeah.
Even as good as Brady is right now, he was better 10 years ago. Cam Newton is getting progressively worse. And I don't want to hear about, well, it's COVID and coming to a new offense. And blah. He looked like crap for the 2 years in Carolina. He cannot rely on his athleticism anymore. He was never a quarterback. He was always just a chucker that had a big body that he could run over you with. All right, it's time to turn back time and get the hell on out of y'all. Here on another great edition with Doug and the Raider Nation, getting ready for another long season of Raider Nation. Hey, by the way, your Reds, they're hanging around, man. I'm impressed.
Yep.
I'm very much impressed. Turn back time. Whoops. I was looking at today on the it just dropped at 9:30 Eastern, by the way, the Take Me Out to the Ball game where I talk about Bowden and the MLB standings. And you're like, you're right there. You're only 2.5 out of the wild card. That's the part that shocks me. Padres better figure out a way to get Tatis back in a big way. All right, on this date, 1905, a telegram comes across to Ty Cobb. Says, come at once. Stop. Very sorry. Stop. Your father is dead in a shooting accident. Ty Cobb received that telegram sent by his longtime hometown friend, Royston, and informing him that his father had been shot. He'd been killed by his mother, who shot him as she believed an intruder was sneaking in. He was coming back from a business trip and was supposed to be surprising her because he felt like she was probably cheating on him. And so that's the famous tale that I don't think a lot of people have heard about that. So he sneaks in, she blows his head off because she thinks it's an intruder. We'll never know what really happened. Was there a guy in the house? Right?
Yep.
Didn't have Ring back then. And
Nope.
as Ty Cobb famously said, you never get over that. He was about to begin his major league career. He had just started playing professional baseball. His major league career was beginning. His dad had not seen him play a professional game. So a lot of people feel like that's why there was so much anger built up in him, et cetera, et cetera. And the racism thing, who knows what that came from, but they felt like there was a lot of anger built up with him, and a lot of it had to do with this incident 116 years ago today. Birthdays.
It's your birthday today.
All right.
Yes, I'll try
Good
to
guy.
explain that on this day.
Let's go with Eddie Futch, one of the most famous American boxing trainers, born in Hillsborough, Mississippi, passed away in 2001, so ripe old age of 90. Pretty darn good run. And we'll go with the guy who's... You're a psychopath. What is that, porn? What are you doing over there? 1928, born in 1928, still kicking. Bob Cousy. Does that make him 93 years old today? So as far as I know, he's still kicking. According to this website, he's still around. I'm surprised that's not one of the ones that we got from COVID. That's actually pretty impressive. I did not. I actually would have thought, if you would have asked me, I would have thought that Bob Cousy would have passed. What is your walk-off for the day, sir?
My walk-off, we were just talking about the Reds a little bit, but something even bigger. There's nothing like watching your most hated rival fall to pieces. Now I'm talking about the Cubs. Having gotten rid of Bryant, Baez, and Rizzo, the other day, the general manager of the Cubs talking about how basically the three of them wouldn't take a deal to stay to keep the dynasty together, and Rizzo calling him out yesterday about, look, we all wanted to stay with the Cubs, but we're not taking hometown discounts. And this whole ridiculous idea, and I was always sick of it, of, we're going to trade him away, but we're going to bring the dynasty back to Chicago and win again. That is dead on arrival. The way management of the Cubs, how they cheated Chris Bryant, now talking about how Rizzo's not a team player and Rizzo fighting back each other. The days of having to worry about the Cubs and the three of them and a dynasty is over. And as a Reds fan, I love it. I just love watching.
I'll tell you what, Rizzo's done a hell of a job there at the Yankees. Now he got COVID, so he's He's on the IL for a few days. But the Yankees, man. By the way, so that's my walk off for the day. At the top of the hour, we'll have the Catbird seat, and the Red Sox are in a free fall, and we're expecting Timus to be back with us today, and it's gonna be fun to see him. And meanwhile, back at the Ranch, man, Tampa Bay Rays 4 games up on Boston. Look out, baby! Look out! I'll tell you what, man. The Yankees are charging. My main walk off that I was going to do today was obviously for Bobby Bowden. It's also Deion Sanders' birthday today, so he is 50. Got to see 51. Is that right? No. Is he 54? Is that right? Okay. I guess he's 54. Okay. I don't know why I thought he was a little younger than that, but Deion Sanders, 54 years old. He was the reason why Florida State really changed. When he came to Florida State in the mid 80s, Bowden took him for the first time. He made him the best athlete on the team, a defensive player, and that changed everything at Florida State. I kind of lay it out more on the Take Me Out to the Ball game today, and so make sure to catch that. It just dropped a few minutes ago on the Armchair. I'm trying to have it drop at 9:30, so it's a transition, but we ran over a little late today on this show. All right, brother. We will see you next week, 1 week closer to fantasy football. We'll probably do a mock draft next Monday because we're kind of running out of positions to talk about. So there you go. All right. We shall see you, sir. Great job.
Thanks.
Goodbye, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. We're back tomorrow with another show. Well, unless we're fired, we'll talk to you then. Goodbye, sweetheart. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Guys and gals, it's time to go. We'll see you on the next show.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Thanks for listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks on these CBS Sports affiliates and catching the show on YouTube Live. We're here weekdays. Find Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube Live today. Please subscribe and share and take us everywhere you go. The Armchair Quarterbacks, your first choice for Southern sports talk, live from the First Coast.
Gonna get